Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934, is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans.
Inspired by the culture and spirit of New Orleans, the contemporary abstract and figurative work of Tony Mose and the urban expressionist art and jewelry of Tracy Mose are now on display and available at Esom Art Galleries. Esom Art Galleries are artist-owned and are located in Uptown New Orleans on Magazine Street and on Royal Street in the heart of the French Quarter. Esom Art Galleries, inspiration from the soul of New Orleans. Max Durbus Realtors has been providing commercial and industrial real estate services to its clients for nearly 100 years. Since 1934, Max Durbus has been locally owned and operated throughout the greater New Orleans area, including the North Shore, Hammond, and even the Mississippi Gulf Coast and beyond. We focus on your commercial real estate needs so you don't have to. More information is available at 504-733-4555.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime Sports. What a great weather week we have going on right now. And by the way, we have LSU basketball coach Matt McMahon coming today. What a special show it's going to be. We've had Kim Mulkey, we've had Brian Kelly, we've had Jay Johnson, all in the last few months. Matt McMahon is the latest in LSU to join us to talk about this great season he's got coming up. Don't worry about last year. He's got a whole new crop of players, and boy, you wait till you hear who's coming to Baton Rouge for this upcoming season. We talked about Ron Hunter with Tulane last week and UNO, and now we're going to talk about the LSU Tigers. Well, let's talk about the New Orleans Saints first, because they got their 17th shutout in the history of the franchise. But get this. This is the 5th shutout they've had since 1995. That's right. The last 28 years, they shut out the Patriots 34-0. It started right there with that man, former LSU star Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, got a touchdown, a pick six, to put the first points on the board. Alvin Kamara came back, had a great game. He had a rushing touchdown, plus he had 80 yards on the ground. He did some great things in the air as well. So the Saints move forward. They've got a tough one in Houston next week against the Texans. LSU Tiger football. Boy, they're making me nervous. But boy, they are exciting. You can't say that. That guy, Jay Daniels right there, has put himself in Heisman Trophy talk. That's how good he's played despite the 2 losses. And don't worry, their season lays ahead of them. They control their own destiny. They have 6 more games, and 5 of them are in Tiger Stadium. So look out. They have a chance. They just got to run the table, and who knows. By the way, Tulane Green Wave, they play this week against Memphis on Friday night. Check that out. LSU plays at 6 o'clock on Saturday night against Auburn at home. Tulane's game is 6 o'clock on Friday. Hey, Pelicans, we'll talk about them later, but they're coming up. We got a great show right here and a couple surprises right here on Primetime Sports.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
Hey, like I said in the open, welcome back to Primetime Sports. What a great weekend for football. Last weekend wasn't so good, but both the Saints and LSU got back on track and they won their games. And you also remember last week, I had 2 basketball coaches, the local guys here in New Orleans, Ron Hunter from Tulane, Mark Schlesinger from UNO, and I told you we were going to go upriver and bring Matt McMahon back down. He first appeared here last summer. Not long after he got the job at LSU, he had gone on the recruiting trail. Remember that? He had to get a whole new team. He got 13 guys in like 50 days or something like that, maybe even less. But here he is back again. High hopes for second season. We all knew what happened in the second seasons, and we're not putting that kind of pressure on him, but everybody else is. But there's no way this can happen. But your girl, Kim Mulkey, got a championship. Brian Kelly's certainly feeling the power. The pressure, because Jay Johnson, who's been on this show at least 5 times, got a championship. But this is a different story. LSU basketball is literally building from the bottom up, and I have the faith in Matt McMahon, who's at Murray State. You remember those great runs that Murray State had, particularly that one 2 years ago when they played Kentucky. And also right before that, they had that great win against San Francisco, one of the greatest NCAA tournament games I've ever seen. But here he is at LSU, and I cannot wait to see the next few years of LSU basketball because this man can coach. And here he is. Hey, Matt, welcome back to the show.
Pleasure to be here. Excited to be here.
I remember last time, I had come back from out of town. I remember I was rushing to get here. You had a flash flood. You were coming in, and it was a little bit harried. But we have a beautiful day today.
Beautiful, and really excited about the opportunity we have as we enter our second year here. You mentioned in the beginning, building from the ground up.
Right.
And the big key for us, we got to make progress this year. We know what the standard is at LSU. I say it all the time. It's the best brand in all the sports. One of the many reasons I wanted to be here and be a part of it. So really excited about the guys we've been able to add to the program, and look forward to getting it cranked up here November the 6th.
I want to talk about you and your wife, Mary, first, because y'all have now been here over a year. You're immersed. I mean, you're into the Louisiana culture. You're in Baton Rouge. You're down in New Orleans. Some recruit. What is Louisiana like? Honestly, be honest with you, from an outsider, now that you're immersed into it.
Oh, we absolutely love it. It's been a great move for our family. Things that really stand out, just the hospitality, the great people, and the passion of the people. How
Maybe
much?
Too much sometimes.
That's all right. It beats the alternative.
Right.
And
true.
so,
apathy's not good.
the passion the people have, the pride they take in LSU, is really cool to be a part of.
All right. So you're a little more relaxed. Obviously, I think last year you had just gotten off the trail. Like literally, you had to build a team from scratch, and I remember it because it was like, that's got to be daunting, right? I mean, no matter what kind of success you've had in the past, you're coming to, a Power 5 conference, a school that's never won a national championship in basketball. They've been to the Final Four a few times. They've tasted some success. Certainly not Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke success, but some, and they expect things here. Now, what's after a year the feel of like, hey, I've been here a year, I kind of know what to expect. What's the difference between this time last year and now?
I think number one, just getting comfortable with the move. I mean, I think sometimes we forget about that as fans.
It's big.
When you move, it's not just the coach who's moving. You're uprooting your family. You're going and starting a new life in a new place. So I think having that year under our belt, just the situation that the program was in. From the standpoint of having to get 13 players in 50 days, as you mentioned, it was already late in the recruiting cycle, and you had the NCAA investigation hanging over the program.
That's not light, man. That's
when
serious.
The decision hasn't been made. It's like having the death penalty when it comes to recruiting and building a program. So now we're past all that. That's in the rear view, and feel like we can move forward. All those sanctions and penalties have been served for the most part, and the program can now move forward.
I want to stress that real quick because I don't think people realize this. When you said it, it's like having the death penalty already, because when you're recruiting, other people are going to recruit against you, saying, hey, you don't know these guys are going to be on probation.
Yeah.
We know the sins of the past. We don't have to rehash those, but the fact is I want to know what it's like to be on the road when you feel like you're in with a recruit, but maybe in the back of their mind that's hanging because that they don't know what's going to be in the future. So what is that like for you as a coach and a recruiter?
Well, that's challenging, and you lose some players because of it, but you're looking for that right one who's going to take that leap of faith and still feels like LSU is the right school for them to continue their basketball journey and their academic journey, and that would have faith that it was all going to work out and it'd be the best situation for them. So we were fortunate, had quite a few really high character, talented players this spring who understood that the penalties were going to be in the past and that we can now move forward as a program. So really excited. It's a breath of fresh air to be able to walk into a living room and say that all that is in the past.
Right. Well, I'm going to say this. I know Fred's bar is still rolling, right? I've been out bartending there for 4 years. So I saw Scott Woodward on the other side of the bar quite frequently. He was a student. And I know you have to talk to Scott a lot. And I just want to know what words of encouragement he gives you because, I mean, listen, it's different than some of the other programs that he hired coaches for. I know he wants to put his stamp on every program, and he's done so. But when he talks to you, I'm just curious what words he shares with you.
Well, he's been great. He's
the athletic director, by the way, if people don't know.
One of the many reasons you would want to come to a place like LSU is the alignment and the leadership of the university and the athletic department with Scott and President Tate. So really encouraging, understanding that it is a process. So just pushing to really do a good job in recruiting. Felt like we had to use that transfer portal this past spring to get the program back to stability.
Sure.
By getting some older, proven players who have produced at a high level.
Yeah.
And have won at a high level. And now I think that's set us up to where we can go out and recruit the best players in the country out of high school. And really pleased with where we're at in this class of 2024. Just have to finish strong as we go into the November signing period.
Yeah, I mean, listen, congratulations on some of those guys. I know you can't talk about them, their commitment. So I've seen it. You had some 4-star guys, some guys that are perceived to be top 50 players, top 25 some. So moving forward, let's talk about some of the newcomers you have. We're going to get to the returning players, but you mentioned getting some stability in. I know you got a couple top 25 players, guys that have done it other places for different reasons. They might be at LSU. One from Kentucky, one from Nevada. I'll let you take the floor here on those two guys.
Yeah, I think starting with Will Baker, 7-footer from Nevada, was all Mountain West player a year ago. A lot of people don't realize Mountain West.
Great conference.
It was better than the ACC last year.
I just did a Mountain West in football. They're a great conference in sports.
No doubt.
Right.
So went to the NCAA tournament last year, was an all-league player. Thing I love about him, 7 foot 250, really skilled in the post, but he's also a really smart player who can step out and shoot it from three. So made 53s at 39%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The last 2 years at Nevada. So I think he's going to bring a lot of winning qualities to us and also leadership qualities. Damian Collins is a guy, NBA athlete.
Yes.
6'9.5", 7'5" wingspan.
Oh my gosh.
37-inch standing vertical. Was a top 15 player in the country out of high school. A McDonald's All-American. Went to Kentucky. Kind of got caught up, stuck behind Oscar Tshiebwe the last couple of years.
By the way, guy led the country in rebounding and it's a great score. Right. It's tough.
And so sometimes, the portal gets a bad rap. I think this is a case where it's a great thing. It gives him a fresh start, a new opportunity to come in here. He's a little more skilled than I anticipated.
He's closer to home, too. He's not
closer to home.
Right, he's from Texas, right?
And dealt with some adversity.
Sure.
His father passed away last November. Obviously, it was very difficult on him. But he's been terrific. I'm really excited about what he's going to bring to LSU.
As a guy in the coaching fraternity yourself, I want to know what it's like, because in the old days when you transfer, you had to sit out a year. But if you transfer within conference, it was 2 years unless that coach gave you an okay, right, to move on. Now, what is it like when you recruit in a conference and a guy, you take a Kentucky guy away? And I'm just curious among coaches, is there anything said about that?
Oh, Coach Cal was great about him. Very complimentary. Loves him as a young man. Wants to see him have success.
Right.
So that was really good for us.
Good.
We have Jordan Wright's also interconference transfer coming from
Vanderbilt. Right.
And of course, Derek Fountain a year ago from Mississippi State. So
there's never any
different.
strife, right? I mean, yeah.
No, we haven't.
Right.
But it's a different era in college athletics. So you have to evolve and adjust as we go. And we wanted to be able to recruit high-level players who can come in here and impact us right away.
I want to talk about Jordan in a second, because you just said something. We have to evolve, okay? And I just was in a meeting we have coaches meetings with the games I work, and you do games. You meet with the media, right? And doing the games. And we met with Coach Tedford who was a successful coach at Cal, and he made some comments about the portal. And he's older now. He's in his 60s and he's established. But he's like, hey, I didn't like it, but if it gives a kid a fresh chance, our time here on earth, and especially those time that they have to play basketball or football, is short. Why not give them the best chance to succeed? And you're saying these words. He said, and he used that same thing. I had to evolve. I said, I'm not going to completely change, but I had to evolve. And is that the most important thing right now in today's landscape for you?
Well, I think so. My favorite part of coaching has always been, having that 2-3 year relationship where you've recruited a player and his family through high school. They come in and develop through your program. But some of it's based on the circumstances of the program that we walked into and the need to get those older, experienced players. But I think it's just as a coaching standpoint, you have to be smart. Like we've brought in some guys who are in their 5th and final year of college. It doesn't do me any good if they learn our system on February 15th. So how do you simplify your coaching How do you build team chemistry in a short amount of time?
Can't be easy.
All things that are challenging, but
Right.
we got to figure them out because we need these guys to come in and impact our program from day one.
And forgive me if I'm sounding dumb here, but I know football gives NCAA players an extra COVID year if they want. And that means because of football, there's a lot more redshirting going on in that sport. You have a lot of sixth-year guys going on. Do you have any of those much older guys now? And not maybe you, just in basketball in general. Do they get that extra COVID year if they want it?
We do this year, and then
Right.
this current recruiting class of 24 will be the last year of the bonus COVID year.
Right.
But we have 7 of our 13 guys are in their 4th or 5th year.
I think that's
of college
great, actually.
basketball, and so 4 of them being in their 5th. So the best solution for us to get LSU basketball back to stable ground was to get older quicker, and I think we were able to do that through the portal this spring.
One of the guys you mentioned was Jordan Wright. I know he's a New Orleans-based guy. He played at Dunham up in Baton Rouge. Scored a lot of points for Vanderbilt, right? So what is his role here, and how did you talk him to come back home?
Well, we're challenging him from a role standpoint. We need him to be a leader. You're talking about a guy who has scored almost 1,200 points in the SEC.
That's sick.
He's the SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year.
Yeah.
Was SEC Player of the Week last year when they beat Kentucky on the road. He was terrific. So I think having a guy like that who's proven at this level, very skilled, very versatile, excuse me, and one of the many things I like about him, very smart.
Yes.
And so we need him to be a connector in our locker room, a guy who shows the way, not just on game night, but on how you work out, how you are in the weight room, how you conduct yourself in practice. So we're asking a lot of him in his final year, but what an opportunity for him. He already has his Vanderbilt degree, and now he gets to come back home and play his final year at LSU. And I know it's something that means a lot to him. And so we were very, very pleased to have him join the program.
This is exciting. I mean, that's shades of Logan Diggs in football with the Notre Dame degree. He's the running back that came.
No doubt.
And in Vanderbilt, he's got that degree and wants to come home and do some great stuff, just like Diggs. You mentioned some other guys that are, that are newcomers that came in, that are coming back maybe. Who are some of the other guys that are newcomers that played other places?
Yeah, Carlos Stewart is a Baton Rouge native.
Right, that's right.
Who went out to Santa Clara in the West Coast Conference.
Is he a Dunham guy? Is he the Dunham guy?
He played at Dunham as well.
Okay.
A guy who was first team all conference out in the West Coast with Gonzaga and St. Mary's.
Wow.
Averaged over 15 a game and shot 40% from 3, which usually one thing that'll translate in that portal is 3-point shooting. And so we're counting on him. One of the themes, if you look at our roster, when you're rebuilding a program, and I mentioned it, the pride in LSU.
Yeah.
We wanted to get some of these talented Louisiana players back to LSU. So Jordan Wright from Dunham, Carlos Stewart also from Dunham.
That's wonderful.
Hunter Dean, who's from Mandeville, came back, transfer from George Washington, and then Jalen Cook, who started
at LSU with Javonte Smart,
and company,
Cam Thomas, and all them. Right.
Went on to Tulane, where he had great success, first team All-League in the American Conference, 20 points a game.
He's a
5
player.
assists.
He's a player, and I know he's not completely eligible yet, right? I mean,
yeah, we're still waiting on the waiver there.
Right.
Even though he's coming back to LSU, he's still considered a 2-time transfer.
Right.
So he's awaiting a decision on his waiver. But he's a guy, top 5% in the country the last 2 years in assist rate.
He's sick.
Can do a lot of things and really make you go at that point guard spot.
And I've watched him mature as a player. I went to a lot of Tulane games because they're here in New Orleans. I watched him a lot at LSU because LSU had it rolling when he was there. But he was definitely a role player off the bench. But I've watched his confidence grow, and this is a guy that can score and distribute equally well. I mean, he does a lot of things. And I'm looking at this mix of players you're bringing in. I'm back. I love that. I'm back. That's great. I've never seen a situation where a guy transfers and comes back to the same school. I'm sure it's had to have happened somewhere, but this is unique.
It is unique, and I think that's where we talk about evolving and adapting as coaches. When I'm evaluating Jalen Cook, I can't evaluate him as a 17-year-old high school senior. I'm evaluating him as a guy entering his 4th year of college. How has his game progressed over his college career, and does it fit what we're trying to do? and I think his production speaks for itself. So we're thrilled to have him back in Baton Rouge.
Okay, we're going to get to the returning players. Any freshmen that are coming in that we want to chat about, and maybe another guy that might have transferred in?
Yeah, I mentioned Hunter Dean as the final transfer that we didn't cover, a guy who's shot over 60% from the floor. He's 6'10", 250.
Coming in from where?
From George Washington.
Oh, that's right, GW.
Louisiana native. Really has been one of the pleasant surprises.
North Shore guy, right?
Of the summer.
Mandeville?
Just tough as nails. He has an unbelievable ability to process information. So he reads everything on the floor. He has been outstanding since his arrival. The two freshmen we brought in, Corey Chest, New Orleans native.
McMahon,
correct.
Yeah,
Went out and played his senior year at Link Academy for Coach Armstrong in Missouri.
Yeah.
High motor, high energy guy on the floor, big time athlete. Is going to be a really good player for us. And then Mike Williams is from Baltimore. Just a tough, hard-nosed Baltimore guard.
Okay.
Leader, great communicator, shoots it well from three. Is going to bring a lot of toughness.
That capital city area, I remember I was there, living in the D.C. area when they had great Baltimore guys and D.C. guys, Dunbar, guys like Keith Bogans and Joe Forte back in the day. So I know that kind of gritty play you're talking about. Returning guys, I know you have at least 5 that I know of, maybe more, Tyrell Ward being one. Obviously, your guy, Trey Hannibal, came from Murray State. But talk about those guys.
Yeah, 5 guys back with a year under their belt here. I think I'll start with the one who's been here the longest, Imwani Wilkinson.
Yes.
Who unfortunately really struggled last year with a shoulder injury. Had a great summer and fall, and then dislocated his shoulder in preseason camp. He tried to play through it, but it just got to where it wasn't going to work. So he had the surgery. He's fully cleared, shooting the ball really well. The 3-and-D guy of today's basketball world.
I remember the deep part a lot.
Yeah.
That guy was in people. When LSU had that nice tournament run, you know, he was a big part of coming off the bench and D'ing people up and shutting down the other team's best scorer.
Yeah, monster athlete.
Yeah.
And he's been around winning under his time with Coach Wade here. And so I think he's a guy we count on for leadership as well. But excited to have him back healthy.
Yeah.
Then you talk about probably our most productive returner being Derek Fountain.
Oh, yeah.
6'10", my kind of guy. Just a hard-playing dude, high energy. He's all about the team, wants to impact winning. And
He's got that classic 81 jersey on that last shot we had,
no
the
doubt.
one with the stars right there. I love that. That might be the greatest LSU team ever.
Yeah, the Rudy Macklin jersey there. Yes. But you know, he's a guy, again, leadership. Is going to be important for him. So you talk about Will Baker, Derek Fountain, Jordan Wright, and Imwani Wilkinson. The leadership needs to come from them.
Exciting, yeah.
And as we always said, player-led teams will always go a lot further than coach-led teams. So trying to empower them to take control of the locker room and lead the team. Then Trey Hannibal, being his final year.
You've been around him a long time.
Yeah, sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Sure.
But I love Trey.
It's a family relationship. We always have good and bad, right?
Oh, no doubt. He's looks like he should be playing linebacker in the NFL.
Look at that picture right there. That says
just
it all.
a freak of an athlete, really physical. We need him to be an elite defender for us. I think consistency is the key word, like it is probably for all of us in life.
Right.
But he was a guy who was SEC Player of the Week last year. Had double-doubles in our SEC tournament games, and now look for him to be more consistent in that role this year. And then the final 2 returners, guys who were top 60 recruits in the country that we were able to add when we first got here, Jalen Reed and Tyrell Ward.
Yes.
I think last year was probably the most challenging year for freshmen in the history of college basketball. Because of the portal, because of the bonus COVID year, you had probably the oldest year in college basketball history. And so now with them having a year under their belt, a true off-season program as it pertains to player development and strength and conditioning, we're hoping they can both take a huge step forward.
Well, I'm looking at some of the picks we've been showing, from Collins to Ward to some of these guys have some serious leaps. I know y'all had a vertical leap thing. You got some athletes now, and we got some proof here with the vertical leap stuff that we right there. Some of these results are sick. You know, anything over 30 is considered really good. I remember when I was a kid, people always talk about Dr. Duncanstein, Daryl Griffith at 44. That's like seemed unattainable, but these are very close. Damian Collins is a tall guy doing this, so when he dunks, he's way over the rim. It's kind of sick.
You see the NBA Combine average, you know, the best of the best. Average vertical leap this past year was 28.
Right.
And some change. And so
speaks volumes.
As we tell recruits, the SEC is the second most athletic league in the world.
That's Collins, right?
Behind the
look
NBA.
how high he is, man.
Yeah, they had to adjust. The NBA group had to adjust their equipment so that he could touch the top there.
That's the rim, y'all. Look how far over the rim he is.
Yeah,
that's
so
crazy.
I think that's been a strength of our team here early. That was with no steps.
That's no steps. That's straight up jumping. That's nasty.
So we wanted to really make upgrades from a size and athleticism standpoint in our front court. I think we were really able to do that with this class.
Are you excited?
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait. I'm not one to live in the past.
Right.
We knew year one would be a tough road, and you know, I wish could have done some things better and really maxed out that team. Maybe won, you know, whatever it would have been, 4 or 5 more games with that group. But that's in the past, and now we have opportunity with the NCAA investigation behind us.
That's big.
To move the program forward.
It's not looming anymore, man. That's the hardest part.
The challenge for me, and you know, we really want to generate excitement in the program. I think we've been able to do that by the recruiting class we did. We want to capitalize on the success of LSU. These elite coaches and the other programs, the success the other programs are having. That LSU brand is strong.
It is.
It doesn't matter where you go. Everyone
knows
what those 3 letters stand for and what it represents. And we just want to make progress, and we need people behind us to help us do that. You know, I think back to our game against Arkansas last year. We really didn't belong on the floor with that Arkansas team that went to the Sweet 16. But we had over 11,000 people in the PMAC.
You got to win there. I remember the game.
The environment was incredible.
We beat them, right, by 9 or so.
We won that game at home, and the crowd was a big reason.
It was a great
we were
win.
able to do that. And so, you know, we have a high character group that's working extremely hard. I think we're well positioned to take a big step forward.
You know, I'm an LSU alum, but I am focused on all the teams in this area. I love Tulane. I love UNO. I wear their gear too. But I wore an LSU hat in Wyoming this past week. I'm not even joking. I got so many people stop me saying, "Mama, say love to LSU." I mean, this is nuts. In the elevator, I was at a restaurant. I mean, just like a fast food thing during the day. I'm like, wow, LSU's got a powerful brand. I mean, it's noticed, and people talk about it when they see it. It wasn't like people were like, oh, whatever on that hat. They were like, they got a comment, oh, big game against Missouri today. Man, I mean, how the program, national championship in women's basketball, all that was mentioned.
Well, I was out in Los Angeles recruiting last week, and you know, you get the Go Tigers everywhere you go, and coast to coast. And I think a lot of it's a credit to the brand, of course, but there's star power at LSU right now.
There is.
Yeah,
well, let's talk about that relationship
Angel
you have with the
Reese.
coaches. I mean, Angel Reese with Kim Mulkey's got her own star power, right?
No question.
You went and supported them. I mean, you were in the stands with your family at games, and you and Kim have a relationship. Obviously, you and Jay Johnson, you're on the field. You know, you're hugging him after a game. There you are with your. Is that your daughter? I'm assuming.
That's at the Final Four there. That was a kind of a bucket list experience. Getting to see Coach Mulkey in the Final Four, and
I mean, you're part of that though. You're basketball at LSU. That's basketball at LSU, and you were at the Final Four with them.
Well, I'm trying to learn too. I've got a long way to go. We've been fortunate to go to the NCAA tournament and win games there, and but I wanted to come here and learn from these elite coaches.
See, I love this
Jay
too.
Johnson.
You two are colleagues. I mean, you two. He speaks very highly of you. I've had him on at least 5 times, and that's only been in 2 years.
You're talking about coaches who've done it at the highest level. Coach Mulkey, 4 national championships. Coach Johnson just got his. Just learning from them how they build their program, how they've recruited at such a high level, the overall organization of the day-to-day. It's great learning experience for me.
I want to bring that up before we let you go too. That O'Neal jersey. I know it's cool and it's classic and it's nostalgic, but you're doing all this for other things for a reason. You have the legends. That's you throwing. I guess that's at some event at LSU.
Almost dislocated my shoulder there.
I bet we gotta watch ourselves. All right. Well, you're 10 years younger than me at least. But the fact is that like on your walls, I'm gonna show some pictures of on the walls at the practice. at the practice facility, at the coaches meetings, like when you have the meetings with the players, you have stuff on the wall like Pistol Pete and Bob Pettit, you know, and all the greats, Shaquille O'Neal. You have stuff with, you know, the legends on the wall, the big babies even, like, you know, all through. There's a Shaq quote on one of the walls, you know. You have this stuff all through your thing. Is that to let people know that there's been a lot of greatness here already? Like that right there, Chris Jackson and all the other greats.
No question. I know we get caught up in the coach speak in this business, but this is the absolute truth.
Look at those three guys. I mean, come on, Pistol, Pete, and O'Neal. You want to play a 3-on-3 tournament? I'll take those three over anybody you got.
For me and my family, this was not the best short-term opportunity last spring. This was by far the best long-term opportunity. You can win the national championship at LSU. There's great history and tradition. We celebrate that. You go back, 3 of the NBA's top 75 players of all time played at LSU.
Well,
You just showed them.
They were in the 3 of the top 50 when they first put that out.
Correct.
I was working in the NBA when it came out, and they're the only school besides Houston that had that. Okay, Elvin Hayes, you know, the 3 they had, obviously Akeem and Clyde. But our 3, UCLA didn't have it, Duke didn't have it, UNC didn't have it. It was LSU. When you got the job, Coach, I don't want to put pressure on you. I've watched you coach. I said, this is our best chance to win a national championship. It's not going to come in the first couple of years, but this is our best chance right here. This is a guy that wants to be here forever, and I felt that. And when you came on the show, nothing you said that last summer when you were on this show made me feel any differently about it. I know it wasn't going to come right away, but I know it's coming.
No, I appreciate you saying it, but there's so much to build on.
Yeah.
The success of all the other programs right now, the 4 Final Fours at LSU, I believe it's the 3rd or 4th most in the history of the SEC. Coach Brown, all the great players he had, the legacy he left on the LSU program. Coach Brady, the 06 Final Four team. I listed all the great players. Coach Wade, the players, Tari Eason, Cam Thomas, the draft pick.
I love that y'all keep
Nas
talking
Reed.
about your guys, man.
I mean, he had NBA players. So you can recruit the best players in the country here at LSU, and you can build something special, and that's why I'm honored to be here.
I love Will Wade in a different way, because Will came down. I remember the first time he got the job, and John Brady's a friend. He said, you ought to go on this show. Well, he shows up, and it just so happens, it was a coincidence that Karl Malone happened to be on that show, the governor of Louisiana, and he's looking around like, wait, I thought I was the dude here. But the fact is, they call him the OG, the original gangster, because whether you liked how he did or not, he got stuff done. And I'm going to tell you this guy right here is not going to get us on any kind of probation, I promise you that. This ball is one of the newer ones we have. We have like probably 5 or 6 LSU balls, equally amount of Saints balls that, you know, players have signed, coaches have signed. This was Brian Kelly. He came back in May, and he came on the show. And I've only let some of the greats, Rohan Davey and Herb Tyler, 2 great quarterbacks we've had, Josh Booty, another one. But but you definitely deserve to be on this one here. And I want to put you here, and I'm going to put you on that batting helmet that Coach Johnson brought as well. But we'll sign that off camera. There you go.
That's awesome.
And I want to get a big Matt McMahon that I can read later, because I know one day that's going to be a national championship, but I'll never put it on eBay. I just want to have it and just to have it around. And I love all the local sports here, and LSU basketball happens to be one that I'm very fond of. I've never given away 3 shirts on here, but since I missed you last year, I believe. I think you got one. Your wife loved the way it felt, right?
She did, loved it. Great shirt. My wife played at Furman. Best shooter in the family, and we appreciate the shirt. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, she's going to get her own this time. So we got a ladies' version here, and that one,
Thank
I hope
you, sir.
she looks great in black. 6 foot and can drill the 3. I mean, we might need to get her to be our 3 and D, and what do you call it, the stretch 4? Also,
there you go.
We got you a gunmetal, which is my
Thank
personal
you.
favorite color, and then there's another light gray for you, Coach. I appreciate you. I know it's a distance coming down here, and I want to thank you so much, man.
Thanks so much. Go Tigers.
Hey, support all your local teams, but get on up there to Baton Rouge and follow these guys. It's going to be a lot of fun this season. I cannot wait. November 6th starts. Now, is that an exhibition game?
No, that's opening night.
Okay, so who's playing? I mean, who?
We got Mississippi Valley State opening night.
Jerry Rice's alma mater
There you go.
in the house.
Hey, December 9th, they'll mark it down. Kansas State off their Elite 8 season, coming to the PMAC, first Power 5 in the PMAC in November,
let's
December.
Put that schedule up
in a
real
long
quick, because
time.
it's got North Carolina on there. We've got, what's that one?
No, I think the big ones, you run that ESPN Classic in Charleston, great field. Kansas State on December 9th in the PMAC, then December 16th go to
about that?
Houston, play in the Rockets Arena against Texas.
Yes,
The year before they joined the SEC. So there's some great opportunities on there.
Oh, that's what
for us.
Syracuse was on that. That's what the
They've never been to the Carrier Dome, so looking forward to that. I think
my
it's got
gosh.
a new name now, but it'll always be the Carrier Dome.
It's got to be the Carrier Dome. I've never been to the Carrier Dome, and I feel like I've been in every arena and stadium in this country, so that's going to be an experience.
Yeah, it's a
as well.
great schedule. Really looking forward to it, and hard to believe it's
right
here.
here,
We're
Coach.
a month away.
It's right here. Go support your Tigers. Hey, by the way, that Kansas State's going to be a little revenge. If you don't remember, that was that buzzer beater in Hawaii, I believe that game was played.
Cayman Islands.
Cayman Islands, somewhere out there. And I'm listening. It was right the night before Thanksgiving. And I'm like, we won the game. And all of a sudden they took the bucket away because they said they put not enough time on the clock, too much time or whatever it was. They didn't start the clock right. And then that's not LSU's fault. They just played with it, and they took the victory away. They didn't even give them the chance. So that's revenge, Kansas State. Coach Matt McMahon, get up there and support your LSU Tigers. He understands the history of LSU basketball, nostalgia of it, and now it's time to move this program forward, and I personally can't wait, and you shouldn't either. Hey, coming up next, we're going to continue the basketball theme a little bit. We're going to have a man named Brock Cantrell, a guy behind the scenes. I haven't had Brock on the show before, and John Brady said, hey, man, I'm doing some stuff over there at Baton Rouge Community College. He's bringing some guys in to do some consulting. And I wanted to see what's going on up there. What is happening at Baton Rouge Community College, because there's so much talent in that area. And I'm just curious what he's doing. I know he's a basketball guy. He loves the sport. He loves Dale Brown and Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, formerly Chris Jackson. They're all very close friends. And like I've told you many times, Dale's like a second father to me. So anybody that Dale loves, I love as well. So he's coming up. There's a picture of Mahmoud, Dale, and Robin Prudhomme, who's Dale's daughter. I've known them forever too. But also coming up, I have a story I can't wait to tell you. Myers Morgan is a swimmer who went Division I and Division II. And they went from Division II national champions to Division I national champions the next year over Stanford and all those other schools. He's coming up to tell that story right after this as well, right here on Primetime Sports.
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At the mid-city lanes, the home of rock and roll.
Inspired by the culture and spirit of New Orleans, the contemporary abstract and figurative work of Tony Mose and the urban expressionist art and jewelry of Tracy Mose are now on display and available at Esom Art Galleries. Esom Art Galleries are artist-owned and are located in Uptown New Orleans on Magazine Street and on Royal Street in the heart of the French Quarter. Esom Art Galleries, inspiration from the soul of New Orleans.
Welcome back to Primetime Sports. Man, what a great time with Coach McMahon from LSU. That was a lot of fun. Hey, moving forward, hey, but Coach Willie Fritz, I got to say this real quick. They had a bye week this week, but last week he got his 240th career win. Not all with Tulane, but that's his career win. You know what that puts him? That puts him 6th active all-time among active coaches. That's 6th. I mean, guys like Nick Saban, Brian Kelly, they're 1 and 3. Number 2, Mac Brown. You got some big names on that list, but Willie sits at 6. And they had a big commemorative thing over at Mr. John's Steakhouse. That's right. I gave Matt McMahon a Mr. John's Steakhouse gift certificates. That's a new client. They've been very good to us. So he got one of those off camera, but I wanted to bring this up because we were there just last week. That's Ron Hunter. Remember, he was on the show last Tuesday. This was the night after on Wednesday. There's Desi Vega himself. He owns Mr. John's along with Paul, and he also owns Desi Vega Steakhouse, obviously. There's Coach John Brady, who's been on this show more than any other guest ever. And there's Coach Willie Fritz in the middle, and you might recognize Michael Rada next to him. That's the guy who heads NIL for Tulane, the name, image, and likeness. I had him on the show, back a few months back with Gordon McKernan, who does the same thing for LSU. And last but not least, Jimmy Ordino, who is also with the NIL at Tulane, but he's also a player on the 98 Tulane undefeated team back in 98 when they had Tommy Bowden as coach and Sean King as quarterback. But I want to bring that up because that's a big deal. Willie Fritz, congratulations on that, and keep on climbing. I know you've got several good years left. And I also want to mention this. Troy Dannon is going to go to Washington. And, you know, he's done some great things at Tulane. Congratulations to him for getting that big move up. But Tulane, he's done fantastic things. He's definitely left his mark by bringing in, you know, coaches like Jay Ullman and with the baseball team, of course, Ron Hunter in basketball and Willie Fritz in football. So he's done some great things for Tulane University, and also on the women's side of things. Also, we're going to talk about a guy who's done unbelievable things, a New Orleans area native from the North Shore, you know, the Covington, Mandeville area, St. Paul's grad. He won the state championship in swimming himself. The team finished third because they only had 5 swimmers. Jesuit and Catholic High were above them, but they have like 20 guys going. But his name's Myers Morgan, and he went to Queen's University of Charlotte. If you don't know anything about that, I didn't either, but in the swimming world, they are kings. Let me tell you what they did. They went and they had already had 5 national championships in Division II level. They went ahead and they won 3 more while he was here. They got so good, they moved up to Division I, and this is almost unbelievable. In the year they went to Division I, they won national championship in that. That blows my mind to go from Division II winning in the following year. That's never been done in any sport. I'm sorry. But here he is, Myers Morgan.
Yeah.
Welcome, man.
Thank you for having me.
That is
great.
Such an unbelievable accomplishment. Let's just talk right there.
Yeah.
How did you guys, first of all, how did you get into swimming at an early age, and when did you know you were going to be such a competitor in the sport?
Yeah, so my mom likes to say when I was 18 months old, I fell in the pool and just started swimming. So
it could have been a tragic situation.
Could have been.
But it worked out.
She said everyone was panicking, and she was like, he's fine, he can swim. So it started from there, and I actually started swimming at my country club, Schfunkta Country Club.
Oh, yeah.
Started really young there, won High Point at 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, okay, he may have a future in this. And that's when I moved over to competitive swimming, getting actually into it year-round.
Right.
And it kind of developed from there. I mean, I played football, baseball my whole life, too. But swimming just kind of stuck it out, and that's what turned out to be for me.
Okay, so why did you choose Queen's University of Charlotte? Because I didn't know much about this. I know they're called the Queen City, like Cincinnati is as well.
Yeah.
But they have an incredible swimming tradition.
They do. So the whole reason I went there was because of that swimming tradition. I like small classes as well. They're under 3,000 people, so I got the small class vibe.
Yeah.
As well as going there and going to a winning program with a proven coach. My head coach is our old head coach was one of the best head coaches in swimming, period. Right. He coached at Auburn, won SEC championships at Auburn.
Wow.
Did a lot of stuff, has coached with Michael Phelps' old coach, Mike Blum,
right,
who now coaches at Queens.
Mike Blum is at Queens now,
yeah,
right?
So it's a great...
Michael Phelps, he's a pretty good swimmer, right?
Pretty good, yeah, pretty good. Only the best. Only the best. Maybe one of the best athletes all time.
Right.
So yeah, it was just great to go there with that culture, have that winning way, you know? So that's kind of went into my decision, rather go D1, be a small fish, you know? I kind of want to be a little bit bigger fish in a small pond, but also have a winning way.
Well, somebody say this. I mean, that to me, that story in itself is remarkable. When they told you y'all were going to go, I don't know, is it called Division II up there? Or is it called like?
It's Division II.
Okay, because I know football, it's FBS and FCS now. But okay, so when they tell you, I guess your last year maybe, that you're going to go to Division I, what's your immediate thought? Yeah,
so my last year, I graduated. We won the championship, just coming off that, and I was thinking about swimming again because I had the COVID year. I was looking at LSU. I was looking at...
The COVID year means that all athletes get another year because COVID robbed them of a full season.
Exactly.
Right.
So my season was robbed, and I got an extra one.
Right.
And I graduated from Queens, and I was looking around, thinking LSU. I talked to the coaches there, talked to a bunch of schools.
Yeah.
And then it came down to Queens, and they offered me more money than all the other schools, and they also said, we're going D1. We haven't told anyone yet, but we want you to be one of the footstones for going D1. So it kind of turned into that.
Who were the D1 powers at that time? Like,
yeah, so all the D1 powers, I mean, you got all the California schools.
Well, Stanford used
Florida.
to be the school. I don't know if that's
Stanford
still the
is
case.
definitely the kings for women's side. I mean, they're always going to be the powerhouse for women's. I would
Katie
say
Ledecky was
exactly,
Stanford, right? Yeah,
and she's crazy.
Right.
So, but I would say for men's, it's definitely Florida, UCLA. Those are the two main that will battle the whole time.
But I'm just thinking, though, isn't it a little bit daunting to you to, like, all of a sudden, you know you're good, right?
Yeah.
And you know your team is good, but now you're up against the real big boys. Mm-hmm. So going in, what was y'all's thought process? And you won. I don't have a ton of time here because I want you to talk sports as well in a little bit. But talk about how this happened, and did you surprise yourselves when you won?
So our coach came to us, and he was like, listen, we don't have expectations. Everyone thinks we're going to lose here. So we went into that, and we recruited well. We had good times. We had champions in Europe, European champions come to our team. and we buckled down, trained, and we had goals in our mind, and we did them, you know.
Well, Will's going to focus on these rings. These are the 3 Division II championship rings. The only reason we don't have it yet for your Division I because you haven't received it yet.
Yeah, we
so
haven't
you're
gotten
one
there
of the
yet.
few people that's going to be walking around, if you want, in 4 rings.
Exact.
National champion ring. Listen, when I heard this story, I had to get him on because this story is not just about football. It's about things that people from Louisiana or come to Louisiana and do great things. And this is certainly one of the greatest things I've ever heard of. So Myers Morgan, I want to congratulate you on that.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, truly deserve. Look at that shot. This is the 3. He's about to get the 4th, which is going to be D1, but this is such a prideful moment. And I think that's one of the greatest accomplishments. If you step back and think about a team that goes from Division II and wins it, and then goes straight to Division I and wins in any sport, to me is remarkable.
Unheard of.
Here's a TAS shirt. I'm not running you off. That's a shirt for you.
Yeah, thank you.
And you get but you're pursuing a career in sports. You were my intern during the post-pandemic year.
Yeah.
And I knew you were a great swimmer. I didn't know all these accomplishments, but we were about to come back. I had a show with Drew Brees, Archie Manning, and Bobby Hebert set up for late July of 21. And I had already been off the air for 16 months at that point because of COVID. Ready to come back. We were going to do the show at Manning's restaurant. And my man Myers worked with me all summer long to get it ready. And then the Delta variant hit and went away. So I just wanted to let y'all know the beginning of our relationship. And then when he went back to school and won another national championship, and I started thinking about it more, I'm like, this is a story that's got to be told. But now we're going to bring him and our old friend Logan Graffia, who works in the back, and we're going to talk about the things you love the most for a few minutes. The New Orleans Saints, the LSU Tigers, and how about a little bit of that Tulane Green Wave, because they deserve it as well. Football talk coming up next right here on Primetime Sports, and maybe even a little Pelicans if we have time. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. And a quick programming note, my man Brock Cantro, the athletic director of Baton Rouge Community College, who's very tight with, like I said before, Dale Brown, of course, the legend up there in Baton Rouge, and of course, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, and so many more at LSU. He thought the show, we always tape on Tuesday. But today, because of a scheduling conflict, we had to tape a day early, so he thought it was like our regular day. We're still airing this on Tuesday night, but he's not going to be here. We're going to have him coming up soon. But hey, listen to this. I'm going to do something very special. We're going to talk about the sports you love to talk about. I was already going to do it a little bit with my man Myers Morgan, but we brought our man Logan Graffia from the back also, who's always ready with the suit. And these two know as much about sports as anybody in the city. So we're going to talk about the New Orleans Saints and their big win yesterday. The LSU Tigers and their life-saving, heartbreaking loss from Missouri, but great win for LSU. Kind of like the same thing that happened the week before. We're going to talk about that game and what it means for their future this season. And a little bit about Tulane Green Wave and, of course, the New Orleans Pelicans. So let's get right into it. Myers, welcome back to the set. And Logan, probably about your 4th or 5th time on the show here. We always bring him on to talk a little bit. I'm going to start with you, Logan. How big was that win for the New Orleans Saints? Because coming off of 2 straight losses, and obviously we knew the 26-9 loss the week before was ugly. Now you come back and you flip the script on New England Patriots on the road. What does it mean?
It means a lot because, I mean, you got to think. Pete Carmichael's been under fire for the last few weeks. Yeah,
you want to have him fired. I watch your Twitter. I watch what's going on. You say get rid of him. So what do you feel about now?
Well, I mean, one game doesn't make or break you, but I honestly think he has to be consistent in his play calling duties.
How did he look yesterday?
I honestly think the play calling was better.
Right.
I mean, more balanced instead of putting it all on kind of Carr's shoulders and instead of running 4 verticals every single play.
They could have had 40 points if they didn't kneel down with Jameis Winston at the end of the game.
It's true.
I know one of the touchdowns was defensive, but listen, you're bringing people back. I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I'm going to come back to you in a second, but you're bringing people back like Alvin Kamara. It wasn't perfect. This wasn't the 2011 Saints where they just could do whatever they wanted. But from what we've seen in the last several games, I'm talking going back to last year, this was an unbelievable offensive performance in my mind, considering what we've seen.
Yeah. I mean, even Miller, he looked better. We didn't get
Kendra Miller.
Yeah, Kendra Miller, the rookie running back. He looked way better than any other game we've seen him play. Even preseason, those 2 receptions he had, I mean.
90 yards total.
Yeah.
I mean, from scrimmage.
Looked way better than we've seen him. That's a good accent to have with Alvin. I think that the offense really did look good, but like he said, it's not a make or break, and especially against the Patriots. I mean, the banged up defense, Mac Jones isn't that special. We've seen that. So it's still a great game, though.
I see you shaking your head over there. Like you're saying, you almost feel like this is not a great win. We know the opponent. We know that this isn't the Patriots of past. But he mentioned Kendra Miller, and Jamal Williams is hurt right now. I don't know what his timetable is. You may be able to tell me more. Alvin Kamara is only a second game back. And then you're also feeling out all these other new pieces. Derek Carr, his arm was shot last week, so I'll give him a pass. Looked much better this week. But you got Chris Olave. We know that he's an elite receiver. He hasn't been utilized a ton the last couple weeks. You know you have Michael Thomas. You're kind of feeling out. You just feel like there's not a lot of yards after catch with what we've been getting from him. But we're getting 5 to 7 catches every game, 8 targets, and he's getting basically the same amount of yards, anywhere from high 40s to low 60s, right? You're getting that. And then you got the breakaway potential of Rashid Shaheed, okay? And then you brought in Foster Moreau, who got a touchdown yesterday. You still have Taysom Hill as a weapon. And I'm going to ask you, Logan, when you put all these pieces together, do you see when they finally jive, maybe in 3 or 4 games as a unit, that's a lot of talent that they can utilize. What do you think about the potential for these guys?
Well, I mean, when you fire on all 8 cylinders, this offense can be lethal, but I also put a lot of it on Pete Carmichael. He has to know what he has. He has to see, okay, I have Derek Carr, I have Alvin Kamara, I have 3 great wide receivers. The offensive line is improving. You have a good tight end room. You have to be able to utilize them correctly, and I honestly think once you are firing on all 8 cylinders, like I said, this offense can be rolling by at least before the bye week.
I'm going to ask you again. The offensive line is improving. I went to the Tampa game. It was awful. It was awful. So I don't know. There was no improvement that game. And I know they have injuries, but that's a broken record because we have injuries across the NFL. So the offensive line is, in my mind, going to make or break what this team can do. What are your thoughts there?
I honestly agree. When you have a great offensive line in the NFL, I mean, we've seen what lack of depth in the NFL, an offensive line can or cannot do for a team. Right now, Trevor Penning's improved each game. James Hurst is just plug and play. He's not going to be great, or he's not going to be bad. Eric McCoy still playing fairly decent since we've gotten him. Cesar Ruiz, I mean, night and day since we drafted him.
Much better now.
Credit to Doug Marrone and Jari Evans working with him. And then Ryan Ramczyk, kind of.
What is going on with him? That's what I wanted you to talk about. Ryan Ramczyk had gone to, from his rookie year, literally almost immediately became one of the elite offensive tackles in the game. If I've seen anything this season, it's been regression. Is there a reason behind this?
That I can't tell you. I mean, it's kind of shocking to me even because, I mean, he has his veteran rest days, of course, for practices and everything, but it's very surprising to me that Ryan Ramczyk is kind of regressed a little bit, but I think he can eventually get it going again, but also you got to remember he is getting kind of up there in age for an offensive lineman.
Myers, the team is 3-2 right now. I think beginning of the season, knowing the Kamara suspension looming, you would have taken that, right? Now, what do you see from what you've seen? Because the schedule is favorable as opposed to past seasons. I mean,
definitely.
And when you look at what do you kind of foresee now that you have a taste of what this team could be after 30% of the season, what they might be able to do?
Yeah, I think it's really obvious we're a defensive team. I mean, our defense is elite. It's one of the top 10 easily in the NFL, and if we keep rolling like that, there's no reason we can't be in contention in playoffs with that defense. I mean, everyone knows defense wins championships. So,
well, that's a good sign because that's what we got the most of. Hopefully the offense will catch up. Now, I want to go to you again, Logan. Let's talk about the LSU Tigers because we all know the 55-49 loss was heartbreaking last week. You had a 49-40 lead. Almost the identical thing happened. I mean, except in this game, you were trailing even much more than you were in the Ole Miss game. At least then you caught up a little faster. You got a lead late, but you got one, and then you thought, hey, man, okay, they're not going to relinquish it. Immediately letting Missouri come back and score. Now, I know Missouri got an offense, but I don't think they're reminding anybody of, some of the elite Florida offenses back when Spurrier or even when Joe Burrow was here, right? So I'm torn on this team. I love watching them because they're so much fun and exciting, but my goodness, they want to make me pull my hair out.
Absolutely. Makes me want to pull my hair out, too. I mean, the first.
You got a lot more than I do.
Yeah. But the defense this year has just been abysmal. I mean, going into the season, I thought I know the secondary was struggling.
Well, it was banged up. We know that. You had a lot of misses, and Greg Brooks being gone doesn't help, but
Not
maybe
at all.
you got the cancer. But the fact is like, anybody. I mean, the Little League teams look like they could throw against the Tigers right now.
Right now, I told people this on Twitter. I said LSU has a championship offense, but a junior varsity defense. And that's not a knock on none of the talent there.
Right.
I just think something is wrong with the scheme. Schematically, something has to change. And I think bringing in Pete Jenkins, legendary defensive line
Thank
coach,
you for pointing that out.
absolutely helps. Going back to a traditional 4-3 in a sense, because running a 4-2-5 wasn't working.
Where's Mason Smith?
I mean, he showed up finally last
this week,
game.
and they came. Okay, let me give them credit where credit's due. When they needed to come, they came. They showed up at the end of the game, right? And I know it gave them a hard time for blowing the lead after they got it, but they did play way better in the second half than they did in the first. They had two drives where they didn't look like they were even on the field. But the fact is, they got to have more consistencies there. But the crazy thing is, even right now, LSU does control their own destiny.
Yeah.
They really, truly do. Even with 2 losses,
Definitely
you've seen a 2-loss LSU team win a championship before. But with this offense, and Pete Jenkins is a difference maker. I'm telling you right now, this guy has been all around the country, but his firm base has been Louisiana. He's been at Alabama, Clemson, you name it. He's been at all the big programs, Georgia even. He's done stuff all across the country, but he is a guru. He's a guy that Orgeron looks up to. Everybody in the defensive world looks up to. He's here, and he's excited about being here, but can he make a difference to make this a championship-type defense? You don't have to be the best defense in the world, but can you win a championship with what they got?
Yeah, I mean, they're at LSU for a reason. They're not just going out there and signing these worst guys that aren't doing well. These guys have talent. We know that they have it. It's just the coaches need to kind of get there and unlock it in a sense, you know? So I think having that type of leadership and that level of coaching is going to help them immensely, you know?
What's the ceiling?
I think they could do very well. I think that the defense could improve, but I think that they could get that spot if they went out and they do it well. You know, it's a hard schedule, but SEC's nothing to laugh at.
I think they're going to be favored in most games other than maybe Alabama.
Yeah.
And they got Alabama. And Alabama's obviously, we've seen that. They're beatable, right,
Of
Logan?
course, yeah.
Everybody's beatable. I think Alabama's beatable because I was on your show and I told you Alabama doesn't have a great quarterback
Right.
room. I still don't believe that much in Jalen Milroe. I mean, he's improved each week, but Tommy Rees as a play caller at Alabama has not looked good. And I honestly think this LSU offense can overtake Alabama's defense.
Is there optimism for LSU fans right now?
A tiny bit. I mean, after seeing Harold Perkins get interception, Major Burns with a pick six, I mean, and then in the second half, you had the defensive line getting sacks that we haven't seen in many, many weeks.
Can we get props for the Tulane Green Wave?
Absolutely.
What they've done?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Crazy.
honestly, seriously.
I can definitely, because coming from a small school, you know, it's cool to see a non-Power 5 school come in and actually shake up the top 25.
Yeah.
I mean, you got people in Ohio recognizing Tulane. It's sick.
And your thoughts there?
I mean, Michael Pratt, I honestly think is going to be great in the NFL.
I agree.
I agree. He is.
Willie Fritz has done a tremendous job, and honestly, Troy Dannon, who's leaving for Washington, has done a tremendous
they've
job
all done great.
building up
I'm
that
very
program
happy
from
for
the
that program.
grave, honestly.
One last thing, Pelicans, I know you both love basketball. They're starting their season up. They preseason game tonight, right?
Yeah.
I mean, or tomorrow night too. But the fact is your thoughts going forward on the Pelicans?
Yeah, I love the Pelicans. I mean, it's all about Zion, you know. If he's healthy and he's in that weight that we want him to look like, and there's nothing that can stop him. We've seen it.
Running out of time, but Zion, Brandon Ingram, and obviously C.J. McCollum have played 10 games together. What can this team do if they all get healthy together at the same time?
Healthy, a Western Conference Finals team.
I love it.
I agree.
I agree, too. Okay, we said it, and I'm not being a homer here, y'all. They said it. These guys know basketball. I love basketball. It's my favorite. If you can get these guys staying healthy, and I believe time has got to turn the table, right? I mean, I believe in the law of averages, and they need to look down. The guys need to look down on the Pelicans and give them some help, because if they do, this could be one of the most dangerous teams. Nobody was talking about Denver winning a title last year. Trust me, nobody. And now it's hard to imagine them not winning again. That's how good they look. That can happen to New Orleans Pelicans. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking a lot more about that. I want to thank these two guys right here. They did a fantastic job. Logan Graffia and, of course, Myers Morgan. Congrats on his championships. And my man, Matt McMahon. I can't wait for the LSU basketball season. Go out and support all your local sports. I want to thank everybody in the back, Will, Logan, Alex, and, of course, Jim and Ron. We'll see you next week right here on Primetime Sports.